Welcome to the Village of North Bennington Board of Trustees meeting for Tuesday, June 10, 2014. First item on the agenda is the review and approval of minutes of May 13.
I'm going to move we accept the minutes as printed.
I'll second that.
Any discussion or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The warrant. It's nice when the thing is only 54 lines long.
So we're going to void 2 checks on the warrant and write 2 new ones. And a check 15542 and 15543. And the new checks will be 15561 and 15562. And the new amounts, and they'll be to the, Norm will be the first, Zach will be the second, and the new amounts will be 1847.
Is that a post-tax?
1,847.
Post-tax
Just a different
situation?
tax.
Okay. Any other questions about?
It looks like the last check on the original has an extra 5 in it too.
Oh, good point. Column B,
Right.
take the 0 off the, or no. 155, no? 3 5s.
Or something.
What do you delete? Isn't that interesting?
Should be 2 5s.
No, there are 3
There's 3
fives.
5s.
You have to adjust to 60.
Oh, yeah, because
Oh, right, thank you.
Yeah, I know, it's hard to
Yeah.
say. Well, it's small.
I know, okay, I'll make that bigger. Also, the third from the bottom was the fee for consultation regarding the ongoing incident on Nash Street. So yeah, the large, it's nice not to see any other super large. What's the Green Mountain? Item 10, line 10.
Power, Green Mountain Power,
So it must have been a
streetlights.
2-month,
is it?
4,300.
Big number.
Oh, yeah, that's 2 months,
Okay.
the way the billing goes.
Yeah, they've been doing like 45, 50 days and then
Yeah.
18 days.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know where we're at with that purchase of that property down there. You know, it was approved by the DRB, and the next thing I heard was there was gonna be a purchase agreement written up. And I've not heard anything from them. It's kinda nice that might happen in the next fiscal year anyway. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I got a total of 29,563.08. Is that right?
Taking out 306.
29.5, I'm sorry.
29563.08.
I'll go with that. Motion?
Will we accept the warrant with the corrections that have been noted?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 You have signature copies?
Yeah.
Payroll warrant?
I move we accept the payroll warrant. There's nothing questionable or unusual there.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And there is a Wincoat warrant for 4 items.
I'll move we accept that.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Citizens. Do we have some citizens?
I was here in October, haven't been back since, and I'm at 31 Mechanic Street, and I'm calling in regards to someone, I don't know, that was gonna look into the water that comes pouring down like a river between mine and the other property there. And just wanna know what steps next need to be taken to try to figure out how to resolve some of it, or
Where are we at with that, Norm? You,
Well, we brought the resident engineer from the AOT over here, which was the state. Walked around several times on that piece of property. And this is, and I do have a copy of the letter, and if I can't find it in my office, I'm sure I can get it from him. They deem it being a homeowner issue. I know you're not gonna like, you don't like to hear that. I expected you to come back the next month,
yeah.
and, you know, we actually had, the problem is when the water comes off let's just say the college property, because that's the highest
Yeah,
hill that we have, right? So then it goes through the culvert, and then it directs through, it actually ties through 4 different people's property. It's all kind of,
Right.
and there's really no way for that to get to the drainage that's on Mechanic Street and probably go down the street. We have considerable, there's trees in the way, there's bushes in the way, there's trees planted. You can see that there was a slot trench dug at one time. There's some railroad ties put up at the bottom. But there's no way for even if I wanted to get in there and clean that out without major work. And I absolutely would, you know, I would love to meet with the 4 adjoining homeowners. If you want to arrange that, we'll get the trustees up here and I'll find that letter and we can talk about it, and, you know, maybe we can find an option. But without permission from everybody, the village can't do anything. And even then, it might not be our problem. And I know you don't want to hear that, but.
Right, it's just why was the culvert placed directly right there into?
Well, I can't,
Yeah.
that was done years before my time. I can't answer why. You know, everybody, we have another homeowner that lives on Water Street, that there's a culvert up on Park Street that he blames for all the water, and it's 150 yards away, you know, and he's here, and Park Street is here. You know, you're downhill, water's coming to you. You know, there's in the first 2 houses right where that trench is, and I'm not sure which residence is yours. The one directly across from the red house?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's the one where those
Trench.
little pine trees, and you can see where those old railroad ties were at one time, right?
Well, I didn't see the railroad ties, I mean, if you're
Yeah.
gonna list there, I didn't, yeah. I think-
You could walk in, I mean, there's no way to even get a machine in there.
Right, no.
So, you know, a lot of people's trees are gonna have to be cut down, and, you know, this is not gonna be an easy process to deal with. Now, each homeowner can direct water off their property into the existing system, and I'm sure the village would allow that to happen as long as it was properly done, and it's not a real big deal, but, you know, again, no matter which house that you're gonna deal with, you're gonna be trees are going to have to be removed. There's some honeysuckle bushes that aren't really the greatest thing in the world, but if somebody's
No,
using that
actually,
for,
they're very invasive, you should have
Right, but if somebody's using that for a privacy fence, they might really want that stuff there, you know?
Right, right. And so if you were to do that, let's say, so what would your suggestion on how you do it? You're just gonna dig a hole, have it go down there, or what?
Well, you would
putting it to
dig
those?
what they consider a French drain and dig a trench, and you can see an existing one. You see where there was one at one time. But I don't know how long you've lived in the residence, but that,
I've been there 10 years when we
Right.
moved in, there
And
was
you-
no problem, really not too much problem.
right, but in 10 years you haven't maintained it.
You mean the
That
trench?
ditch.
The ditch.
That's right. In 10, you know, so 10 years you haven't maintained it, and every year leaves fall,
And
branches
the
fall,
culvert went in probably about 4 years ago.
twigs fall.
About 4 years ago.
You're talking about up on College
College
Road?
Road, yes.
It was replaced.
It
It was
yeah.
replaced with a.
In other words, there was a culvert there that had been there a very long time, and it was collapsed or clogged. This was when you were overseas.
Yeah, so that was 2008, so it was, yeah, 6 years ago. But anyway, it wasn't, it has been replaced.
There's no question that probably reintroduced water
Yeah, it did.
down
Yeah,
that hill.
absolutely.
Prior to that,
Yeah,
that
the water
water
was
was
going
causing huge road damage to, if you've driven on
Well, it still
College
is. The
Road.
water's just pouring right out into the road anyway, so
Right.
it's just pouring down. It's not even, a lot of it's not even making it to the culvert, and it's just pouring down. The whole driveway this year had about 2 to 3 inches of ice.
Right, and that's you and your next neighbor, there's that, maybe it was a pool at one time, or a makeshift pond, or something where it's flat behind there with, you know, you can see where there was something there at one time, and there's a bunch of trees in it now.
Right,
You
that
know.
was an up-ground pool, that was
Yeah,
anything.
and, but before that, if you get into that, the honeysuckle and stuff, you can kind of see where there was a trench done at one time. And again, that one that runs directly on your house, if that was ditched properly, all that water would run right in and would come right down to the existing system on Mechanic Street. And nobody's ever maintained it. I mean, there's trees that are this big on the hedgerow of the property that you own. And
Yeah,
it's, you know, maybe you can walk up through it. It's shoulder width, that's about it. There's no way you could get anything in there to do anything.
Have you talked to, like Pembroke or a landscaper or somebody like that about what they would do? What they would think about doing?
no,
Is
no.
that, I mean, I'm not expert in that, so it might be worth asking them, assuming that, you know, if you're gonna fix that trench, you may end up needing to bring in a tractor or something like that
How
to
many
do it.
landowners are there affected by
It's
this?
affecting the woman right who lives on College Road, right there on, I say 126 College Road. And then it pours from her road right into Wilmington's property, and you can see where the water trails dug a rut like the whole way down through. And then it goes into a little wooded section to try to reach the channel there to the culvert. And by then, when it gets to a certain point in our property,
And it
it's
reverts.
pouring right into the driveway, into the cellar area, it just pours at a force that's,
You know,
like a river. So.
It may be that there's really very little that needs to be, it's possible there's not that much that needs to be done to get that water going back to
That's what I'm
that
trying to
ancient
say,
trench.
just a root,
But if that's the case, it's gonna involve a conversation with Mr. Wilmington, and is that, you're talking about his rental
the
property?
rental property, yes, it is. Yeah.
And sharing in some sort of agreement to, you know, obviously he doesn't want trenches ripped through his yard either.
Right, no, right.
Well, that's why I'm thinking you should talk to a landscaper, somebody who does this for a living, so they can figure out
I think
what
more
the
of an
scope is.
excavator probably, somebody
Yeah.
with a little, I mean, Ron probably has the equipment to do it, and it might be a place to start, but,
So this water coming from the culvert is all the property, the people living surrounding the area's problem, issue. Is that what
you
you're
know, I live
saying?
on Prospect Street, and the nursing home above me, redesigned their parking lots that are all behind there and ran it all right into my yard. And it comes down and runs right under my barn, into my chicken coop and on through and down onto Mechanic Street. You know, I understand the frustration.
Right.
I just, I wish I'd been more aware of that change that was made. Because I lived there, I think, when they made that change. It wasn't really, because it's 2 properties up from me.
Okay.
But yet it goes across other landowners and then to my house, and because water's gonna go downhill.
Yeah, I mean, the water really collected there in College, I mean, I'm sure you guys saw that, it should have collected like this, I mean, there, I mean, on the road, I mean, it's so deep.
Well, and that's why that road is in such horrible shape, is
Yeah,
that the water just doesn't get, it all pours off of the college. It all
Yeah.
comes from, and subterranean as well, not just above ground. There's water,
Right.
we all have water in our basements,
Right.
but bottom line, I think that Norm would be certainly willing, and the village would be willing to offer any service that might be available within the right-of-ways of the village to help connect whatever is done, to make it a better connection to the drainage system that's on Mechanic Street. But you're gonna need to talk to a private contractor too.
Okay.
And your neighbors, I mean, if you can end up with,
Right,
if
right.
everybody's affected, and if
Right,
everybody
right.
might wanna get rid of some of that,
Yeah, I understand.
you know, in some ways, I know you see it growing, it's kinda nice, you don't have to look at your
Right.
neighbors and all that, but then ultimately, it probably needs to come out, a fence, if you need a fence, that's,
Yeah, I don't think so, not the way it's all.
but sharing the cost, if there are other people affected negatively by it, it might not be that big of a burden.
Okay.
And if you get a solution, where somebody provides you with some information about how they might deal with it, talk to Norm and see if there's, or come back and talk to us and tell us what you found out,
Okay. All right.
okay?
Thanks.
I appreciate your, keeping at it, and then Norm did, they jumped right on to just figure out what was happening there. They were there that month. And you've done some work on Mechanic to help.
We have, we actually just replaced a drop inlet, not the one that you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I know which.
Because that one runs in the Eric house, but down there, and in the property that you're talking about, there's a pipe that was running out, dumping water into the street. And we actually incurred another $500 in cost that we weren't expecting, just because I don't want to block, well within my right to just block the pipe up, because people aren't supposed to be dumping in like that. And, you know, but we know there's a lot of water on that street.
Right.
You know, the hard part with yours is there's 4 landowners affected by the ditch, and 3 are very minuscule affected by the water. You're affected by the water, and the person who lives downhill is affected by the water.
Right.
But if you don't fix at least the one kitty corner to you, so the house to your left and the one behind it,
Right.
if you don't straighten out that ditch from that pipe there to your property,
Well, it's from the culvert to.
well,
where our
that's where it's
property
gotta
is.
go. Because
It's from the culvert to where our property is really the biggest issue, because it's flat in some areas, and then you have our.
Right, but it's not,
And
because
it's not going right directly down into the.
Because if it doesn't go down that ditch that was put in,
Right,
with
right.
those railroad ties and everything, I mean, somebody spent some money to build that.
Uh-huh.
You'll never get rid of it.
Okay.
I think I get your point, though, it's above, you have to solve the solution uphill,
Yeah,
so
it is.
that it ends
It's-
up going where
It's
it's
supposed to go, right? It's laying flat, and really one area really just flat, and it's staying right there, and then it's not moving to go, and then when it does move, it will move, so, yeah.
I suspect that you need to talk with the neighbors and see if anybody else can see some solution or a way of sharing the burden of the
Right,
solution.
okay, all right,
But thanks for getting back to us,
yeah.
and good luck.
Okay.
Anybody else? I know David's here, but we need to get through a few things, Dave. David, are you gonna, what's your plan tonight?
Well, I just review our coverage and I have our proposal for you.
Okay,
I can make it relatively brief.
would it be okay to do that first before highway, so we can have some time with that?
Well, the fire department.
Oh, fire department too, we got something here, Ed, maybe, let's do Ed, and then we'll do David, and then we'll move on from there.
I'm here to do with the deck out back. She asked me to come up here and make a request for you guys to authorize the treasurer to paperwork will be here next Tuesday, so.
Okay. And this is, I received a letter from Tim Smith Associates regarding, so now you've got some more sophisticated drawings or stamped drawings regarding the,
That's what we're gonna get next week.
okay. And this money's coming out of the,
Fire department maintenance.
Yep.
yeah.
so I think we all know this is something we've been planning to do.
It's gotta be
and that-
done.
So I would certainly be in favor of starting that process off and having our, Gail, are you, is this your last official meeting or? It is. So this might be something that Mary would,
Mary, I mean, is.
she's ready to go, she's trying. We're talking about a project the fire department has been looking into for a long time, replacing the whole situation on the backside. And they've gotten some architectural work done, now they've got some engineering work, but they need to start throwing some money at the situation. And that would be a check written to,
I go to Tim Smith, I believe.
okay.
I'll have all the paperwork, everything.
So just so you're clear, if this is authorized, you need to give that to me, and I'll take care of doing the check, and then I'll get a hold of Mary, and she'll sign that check.
Well, I will be handing that to Chief Myers, and then Chief Myers will
Give him that.
take that.
That's fine.
Is that anyone of those, special
1, 2, 3.
No, it's not one of the special funds. It's
No.
It's not coming out of the, how much is the cost?
It's gonna be about 40,000.
Where's that coming?
The firehouse,
Reserve fund? That's what I was wondering.
So they have like 44,000 in there now, something like that, 45.
yeah. No, they're blowing it to do this.
Okay.
Much
Now,
needed.
it
Because
is,
there's nothing gonna be added this year.
right,
Bill, that's-
and it's a huge liability right now. I mean, it's a much needed process. We can argue with the fire department as to whether they would like to throw some of the wind coat money or some other of their reserve money at it, such that they would still have some money in their firehouse repair budget or upkeep budget, but that's something,
It was 45,000, we got rid of some stuff to bring it
Yeah.
down to 40.
yeah.
And Tim Smith donated some stuff.
Yeah, he donated a lot of his time, so,
And he will be the contractor from start to finish.
okay.
He did send out bids to, Albany Steel, the guy over here. I don't know about the painting, we won't see any of that until next week. So I don't know if you guys want to do
Okay.
that like Wednesday or if you're just authorized to go ahead.
I think we're authorizing the project, I think, and certainly authorizing the beginning of the payment plan.
So will the 10% be transferred from the firehouse reserve fund as just to cover it for this fiscal year, correct?
Right, good point. Since it's prior to the fiscal, and then the next check, I mean, we'll have to figure out how that payment schedule's gonna go. I'm kinda hoping that Ed and Tim will kind of, manage that situation and just let us know, let Lori know when those checks are needed to finish the project.
Well, it's 10% off and then when the job's complete. full.
The other night, okay.
Were you talking probably 3 weeks, the parking lots, they're gonna have half a parking lot shut off for
The equipment, yeah.
the crane's gonna come in. So you're gonna lose half the parking lot.
For how long, you think?
Cause they gotta take them out and then they gotta put the other ones in with the crane. So we're talking 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah. I don't see any other solution to the, Norm, do you have anything to put forth there with respect to how it affects the,
Well, I guess I have some questions. One, you're asking to pay 10% on something that you haven't even opened a bid yet. So I don't understand how we're doing that. We have a budget number, and you know, I don't know, I got involved in this project a little bit. I tried to help them out. I think they've written in this new bid, they've tasked me with things, and I made sure that they knew, the fire department, they don't task me with anything. You know, and I think that number's gonna go up, because, you know what, if, I'm think they wanna be big boys, they're gonna handle it all themselves, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm not saying anything's, you know, but some things need to happen in a municipal world, and, you know, and I'm getting, in one conversation, I get a couple different versions of the story, and, you know, but I don't have to be comfortable with it, you guys have to be comfortable with it, I work for you, and
I get that.
if the fire department's happy,
I think the understanding, from my perspective, would be that should any expense exceed expectation, that's coming right out of something else that the fire department has. We don't have the money beyond what's in that fund.
Well, let's talk about the village. The village owns the building.
Yeah.
They, okay, we took $2,000 off, hoping that he would come down, dig the holes. That's saving $2,000. So now you're telling us that Norm can't come down and dig those holes?
Well, Norm's telling us he maybe isn't liking the way he's being told to do it. I don't know.
He wasn't told to do it.
Okay.
He
See, I've been out of the loop on this pretty much, other than.
I've been working with Norm for that.
Yeah.
And me and Norm sat down, we did this bid thing. I went to the gentleman down here at Smith's, which I want to make clear. He donated his time. He was hired to be the guy to go out and get the bids, which he did. Has everybody already paid people to do? He did it last time. The last time the stairs were done, he did the whole job. You know, so it wasn't. I didn't say, Norm, you have to come down there and dig holes. You know, he said it would be a $2,000 savings to us. We have the equipment to do it. You know, why would you?
Yeah, no, I agree. I guess I wish I'd had a little heads up on this minor conflict, potentially.
it's not a minor conflict.
I think what's the guy's name who's gonna do it?
What's that?
What's the guy's name who's gonna do it?
I have no idea. I can't answer those questions.
Uh,
We didn't have a public bid opening in a project that is, as a ticket price of what?
$42,000.
Right. Maybe they did. Maybe they absolutely did. I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that. I do know that, I think that Tim vetted certainly different people to do the job, but I agree.
And I think that's great that we're asking as many people as we possibly can to try to get the best price.
the contractor, the head contractor will be Carpenter.
Who's that?
Carpenter?
Carpenter?
I don't believe that's correct. It's not a name I saw, but again,
So when
have no idea.
When will you guys? I guess the only thing I don't know, and I've been a little out of the loop, is when will we know the all the prices for the painting and everything like that? Is that all done or?
That'll be done, next Tuesday. I'll have that. That's why I asked to meet with you guys on Wednesday. You can see everything.
Yeah.
And it comes down to you guys to make the decision. If you're saying that Norm can't come down there and dig holes, then we have to bid out for that.
Yep.
But how did you bid out for the other components of this?
The first bid that you saw had the digging and everything in it.
Right.
We didn't have enough money to cover that, so we cut out the pole that goes up the side for the thing. The guy came and said, yeah, you don't really need that, so we took that out. We took out the guy digging. You know, that was $2,000. $3,000 for the poles, that's $5,000 right there, we saved. You know, Norm's always helped us out in the past,
Yeah.
helped us do anything we've asked, and so.
And anybody else got anything to contribute to this conversation?
No, I actually just wanted to know what the number was. Like, you know, what's the budget for it, and what do we do if it goes over or anything like that? I mean, just because I'm not familiar with it, which is my own fault. I just haven't been tracking it.
We came here 3-4 years ago, when it would have been $20,000 or $30,000 to fix the stacks.
Yeah.
And we were told an elevator's coming. You know, now that it's up to 40 or whatever, it would have been cheaper. We would have had more than enough money to fix it. I looked at the last time, we did go out to bid last time, the same guy handled it, and it was done, so.
So we, what do we, right now, we're talking about meeting you next Wednesday? Was that what we were?
If you want to see the total cost, they were waiting for Albany Steel to send their bid in.
Gotcha.
And when their bid get, they're gonna have it by next Monday. So just to be on the safe side, I don't show up Tuesday. If you wanna meet here on Wednesday, you guys can look through it and say, no, we don't wanna do that, then that's up to you guys. I don't make that decision. Chief Myers can make that decision, but I don't.
Norm, your concern is that you don't feel this went through a proper bid process?
I'm not saying that, we never saw three bids like they're supposed to on a big project like that. You know, if we're working for a contractor that we don't know, and that's okay. You know, I'm gonna do whatever you tell me to do, okay? Because, well, first of all, I'm an employee of you guys, so if you say, go do it, whatever, then I guess I gotta go do it. Working with a contractor that we know and we work well with, that we beat up constantly, I know nothing will ever come back. If something happens, well, oh, that was too low, or that wasn't compacted, or that was this, or that was that. You get in all those things, and it's just like everything else that we bid. We bid the full job, and then we ask for line items out. If I do this for you, what will I save? If I do this for you, what will I save? If we get tasked, I mean, we get a big project in the center of town, it's gonna start taking up some time when, you know, when the pool guy gets here. You know, who's to say that I got time to deal with that project?
And ironically, you're dealing with the same individual who's
You know,
working
it's,
with both projects.
you know, it very well, it may be completely 100% perfect. But most municipal bids that we've done in our experience and that we pay for, at least one trustee is sitting there in a public bid award. That's all. That's it. And
Well, that's my concern. I'm not sure how this all transpired. We ended up with a figure of which we weren't too much a party of, but yet we now are a party of it because it's our property. And that, you know, it's like, well, this is your building, so you gotta deal with it. Well, then we maybe should have been more included in the process. And it could be our fault.
But you were. He brought a picture up here, he showed you guys what they were gonna do to it. He went back to the guy down here, and he said, give me prices and stuff like that. And we came back here to you guys.
Yeah.
You saw that piece of paper.
Yep.
Didn't have enough money in that fund, because you didn't put any money in there this year. So if you added whatever goes in there, we would have had more than enough money to have those stairs fixed, because you would have added another whatever you guys have. And, you know, the point of it is that it has to be fixed. Whether we go out to bid or however you guys want to do it, but, you know, it's been, 5 years now, so.
No, I wanna see it get done. I guess I've been unclear as to how this process has evolved, and it may have something to do with how the individual who did the drawings kind of likes to do business, but all I got was a letter the other day that said,
I've never dealt with
this was a letter to you, to Ed Myers, Chief Myers, and to myself and others saying, you gotta understand, what I did for you so far is not a stampable engineered drawing.
Correct.
And that all happened after the interactions that we had 2 months ago or whatever. And I think I understood that at the time. And then it seemed that the next step was what was the next step from that? What was Smith Associates trying to get you to do next?
The next step was I went in and I met with him, heard the fire chief, Chief Myers, went in and he said, after meeting said, no, that is not, fit to be done for the job. I will, when I get the prices and everything else in, then I will make that paper today. So I went and talked to him today to get the things to bring here. They're not gonna be done until next Monday. So,
And what he'll have next Monday is a biddable set of plans?
I will have the price that it's gonna cost to repair the steps on the back of the firehouse.
Were there bids done?
Based on a no-bid process.
Bids were sent out for the painting. They were, not to, I don't know if it went to everybody yet. I'm not involved, I wasn't involved in that. He's, he's doing, what he did. I have no idea, who they went to or where they went.
I think we authorized him in a way to be the clerk of the works on that, and I think we kind of,
Maybe not knowingly, but
maybe not knowingly.
unofficially.
Well, I guess,
Well, like I'm saying, if Norm is not going to do the digging, I wanna make it clear, that if he does not do the digging, you're looking at a $2,000 increase. So it's gonna be $42,000.
Right.
so I think my only comment as a matter of due diligence is I just wanna have a number before I sign off on it. What is the final, and maybe that's also saying, okay, with the contractor saying it's gonna be delivered this date, and if we ask Norm to do it, it's gonna be this exact date, so it's not the same date that he's gotta deal with the fountain people showing up and pouring concrete or whatever, whatever that is. So that we can look at it with two different numbers, but, and I think we gotta do it. I just think that for my sake, I wanna know what I'm signing on to, what's the final number when Tim gets it to you, so.
I think we need to come up with, when we're doing these jobs, are we going out to bid and not, and just get it so we know what we have to do as far as
Yep.
the firehouse, and, do we have to go out to bid for these things, or before we just, they said fix it, and somebody came to fix it.
Right.
So if you guys are gonna change it where it goes to where we have to go out for bids, then, we need to know that.
This was kind of in my transition time here, but when they did the windows, was that bid out? I believe it was.
Yeah.
Or when the roof was done around,
The windows, or bid out, you guys hired, Major Glassic more to it.
Right.
There was no bid process on that.
is that right?
We asked the fire department, I believe, just called them, and chief came up here and said we needed to replace the windows, you guys said okay. Maybe they came over and told me that, I believe, don't quote me on it, but I will check that out.
Why would this not follow our bid process?
Well, I think
That's-
technically it
that's the
should.
question, yeah.
Because there's this tension between, and it's a it's not really a tension, it's just there's dual understandings here. One is that, that's the fire department, and it's the fire department's milieu and what, they deal with that, and they have a budget to figure this stuff out, and we put some money into a fund to deal with maintenance. But ultimately, it's our building. And so I think that for a long, long time, there was a culture of it's their building, it's their, it's their department, it's their thing. But when push comes to shove and the rubber hits the road, and when, suddenly it's our building, and it is. I mean, I'm not trying to.
Everything in that building is yours.
Right, that's exactly right.
I say the village,
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
so.
And so we probably have not been handling this in an appropriate way. We, meaning the collective board of trustees for the last 50 years, or 40 years that building's been there. Again, I don't know how it was dealt with 20 years ago, 15 years ago. I guess kind of what I envisioned is that ultimately Tim Smith was gonna produce, he had made some estimates of costs based on the inquiries that he had made to individuals about what it would cost to do this, this, and this, and then ultimately he would be coming up with a set of certifiable plans that are biddable.
Right.
That's what I thought
But if he did that, we'd have to pay him $3,000.
yeah,
Chief Myers, I believe, talked to him on the phone, told him to get, don't quote me on this, to get a plan with prices and stuff like that, which Chief Meyer brought to you here a couple months ago. We showed you on the table, and this is
Yep.
what it was gonna cost. And so when we looked and saw that we didn't have 44,000, we had to go back and do something to get the price down. So we went back to him, and he redid that, we took stuff out, that's what you're gonna get Wednesday, is, Norm, big in the holes, that's gonna be in there, same, but this is gonna be the cost if Norm doesn't.
But here's the question, and maybe, again, I'm overstepping my bounds, but I guess I'm the buildings guy, I'm the grounds guy, I'm the highway guy, I'm the everybody guy. You're telling the board, okay, in your words, that you're coming back with a price off a set of plans that are a design set of plans. So, hang on, stop, 2 ears, listen twice. Okay? I'm trying to help you, I promise you I am. A budget cost is a really close estimate. Okay? And we all know that the budget line, usually the end of project line is this much bigger. And in a municipal world, which the fire department is, bids are sent out, it's in a public, it's notified publicly, in a bid this size, it's put in the paper or something, and it's sent out, and that's the document that we created, that we talked about, so this isn't new to you. And then we're getting it approved, and a couple people didn't like what it said. But a bid document is put out forth, and then sealed bids are brought back, and they're open. Now, whoever collects them is on whoever's the project is. And they very well may be out there. And if it was publicized, then it's publicized, and that's great. And those things, if they happen, then you were well on your way to success. But you gotta hit a couple of those wickets. And you're keeping going around and around on the merry-go-round, but we're not getting to the answer, because what you said is there's not a design set of plans until Wednesday, when you're gonna have a price for construction. Did I not hear that same exact thing?
That's what I thought, but.
Right? So,
But that price was probably not derived
and again.
Wasn't derived.
legitimately by bids. Yeah.
I applaud everybody that's willing to help us, and, I think any person, the architect that drew those plans, if they didn't phone a friend and say, hey, you should bid on this project, absolutely, we would do the same thing. We did the same thing.
Good.
But there has to be open for because it's public money, to my understanding. It has to be open for a period of time to the public. Now, we can change that period of time. With the state, it's 30 days? This is not a state thing, but at least a little bit, so we have.
Well, maybe a couple of us can meet with Tim next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. Just sit down and ask him a couple questions.
I can't answer that for him.
Okay.
I can answer
You
for
could
me,
inquire
but
to Tim.
Yeah,
I can't answer for Tim.
yeah, no, I can shoot him an email or something like that.
This project absolutely needs to be done.
It does, but I also think it needs to be bid.
No doubt about it. But we can't afford to go
The
over.
only way that it could go the only way that I feel comfortable with it going forward as it is for it to be paid with non-public money, and you know where I'm going with that.
Yeah, but
And-
that won't happen.
Exactly. Well, then you need to get back up and be willing to
Well,
for us to.
we did do that. We went and we cut $5,000 off.
You cut money off of a projected estimate based on a non-competitive bid process. I mean, there never was any, it was, and this is no offense to the architect who has definitely donated a great deal of his time on this project, but he's picking up the phone and trying to get some ideas to put together a number. I'm not terribly comfortable with that number if there isn't a couple people taking a look at it.
And the thing we gotta remember, we've been in an evolutionary process of trying to make sure we're doing things in the proper way. You know, because if we go back 20 years, things were kind of, you know, you just gave it to your friend, you know, there was no controls whatsoever. And, you know, even this thing like Matt is saying in terms of how we looked at the firehouse, I'll agree. When I first joined the board, I thought the firehouse belonged to the fire department. We had nothing to do with it. You did your own maintenance, did your own thing. Well, the fact of the matter is, it does belong to the village, and we're responsible, and we cannot have work done that's not go through the formal bid process. I mean, that's illegal.
Well, he did bid it out. He bid it out to Albany Steel, he bid it out to, the painting jobs were all bid out. But it wasn't bid local. And I think that's where he has a problem, that it wasn't bid local.
Yeah, but.
Well, maybe it
but
wasn't advertised.
But it
But
wasn't
the-
a public bid process either.
I mean, there is a procedure for this where it has to be publicized so that any local contractor has a right to bid on it. I mean, that's what the regulations say.
I
And,
suppose if we suggested that we had hired Tim as the clerk of the works of a project and said to him, you know, gave him that responsibility to do this, that one could kind of twist that logic and think that he did, that he
That's
did.
basically what happened.
Right, well, you know,
He was told, and, you know, when he talked, you know, get bids, tell me how much it's gonna cost, and then when the chief came in here, and showed you guys all that, that's when something should have been said, okay, we're gonna go out to bids for this.
Yeah.
you may be right there. I mean, I do recall that, and I remember us saying, run with it, go with it, go, you know.
And that's why we went to Tim,
I wasn't here.
and said, Tim, get us the bids, this is what it's gonna cost. And now we're back.
Well, I'm pretty sure you guys understood that, because you came to me and helped draft that document, and Ed told you to come to me, so I'm pretty sure he understood how that process was going.
This could be a sellable print, and when we went to him and he said, if you sell that print, I'm dropping the whole thing, and it's gonna cost you $3,000 to get it fixed. That came right from.
Yeah.
So now we get rid of $5,000, and now we're hit with a $3,000 thing that we have to pay somebody, and now we gotta spend another $2,000 to get somebody to come dig some holes. So, we're trying to keep it as low cost as we can, because we know the village is, you know, with the intersection, you know, so we're trying to get money off that to get it fixed, and we're hitting these bumps. But it's totally up to you guys, how you guys wanna handle this.
I just want to gather a little more information.
Yeah, I guess I don't feel like all
If you wanna meet here next Wednesday.
You know, maybe this whole process has been completely done. It very well could have,
Yeah,
been
no, I just-
advertised, and it very well could have 3 sealed envelopes sitting on somebody's desk.
I've worked with
At
him
this
before, and
time,
that's what he
it
does. I
very
just
well
want to
may
ask
be.
him. I just want the time to ask him what actually happened, because I don't know.
Yeah, I just want to get to where I feel comfortable with
Or if
the
it-
process.
Or if it wasn't finished or done the way it should have been, or to look at what would need to be done to bring it into compliance with the policy. I
Right,
would
yeah.
hope, I really appreciate that Smith Associates have made a major contribution themselves, and I would hope that whatever needs to be done to follow the process, that he'd still be willing to be helpful in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, he's done a ton of work
It's,
on, well, this and the fountain.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think about, I don't know what you guys, can we meet you at 7 o'clock next Wednesday at the firehouse or something like that?
Yeah, that's fine.
10 o'clock?
7
7.
at
7
night or
o'clock?
in the morning?
7 at night?
Okay.
Can we do that? Yeah, I want to do whatever we can do to keep it moving forward. I mean, like you said, we got to do it. We need to get it done. So I'll try to talk to Tim between now and then and just get the details, find out if it went through the bid process the right way, and then Wednesday we'll have all the facts and move from there. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I mean, he's already told me it went out to bids.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's just confirming all that,
Yeah.
you know? If it did, then it did, and it's all fine, so.
So you can put bids online, and people can bid on those.
Right.
Yep.
So, to me, that's bidding on.
Yeah, no, I just don't know. Like, that's the whole
Whether
thing.
it meets our policy is another thing, but if it meets the spirit of the policy, I'm willing to move on. I mean, if it,
Yep.
you know, if it kind of,
Now, you guys can authorize the thing next Wednesday once you see.
talking about the 18th.
Yeah, Yeah, and then we'll have a number, we'll know the process, and,
As
yeah,
long
no,
as
I
you
think,
continue the meeting till then.
Yep,
yep.
let's do a continuation. Yeah, I think you're right.
I think it's a good lesson to us too in terms of being really clear of what the whole process involves. I think we were impressed with the work that Ed Myers had put into it to
And
get it ready to
Bennington,
go.
and,
Yeah.
you guys y'all jumped at this with the right spirit, and you were going about it the way you thought.
Mm-hmm.
And really so were we, and now we're realizing, well, maybe we didn't dot some i's, cross some t's. Is there a way out of this in a equitable way to continue the process? And I think that's what we've set to have this meeting.
Yeah, no, and the chief has been informed of everything that I've talked with, I always call him and let him know what's going on
Yeah.
too, so I will let him know if he wants to be there next Wednesday at 7 at the firehouse.
Okay.
Thanks, Ed.
Can I ask you a quick question? I actually wanted to ask you something very quickly, but something I learned 2 weeks ago. So you just had your 10-year inspection? Is that right, at the firehouse?
ICS inspection.
The ICS inspection?
Yes.
And I just I learned something when you told me about that I thought people might find interesting, the average taxpayer, because you guys ask for money for trainings and stuff like that. That when you do that, you guys got a perfect score, is that right?
I think we got an 8 or something.
Okay.
It was good.
And what that means to the average taxpayer is all their fire taxes, all their fire insurance goes down when you guys get a high rating. So when you guys score near perfect or whatever that was, then everybody's paying less money in taxes, which I think is it's a good thing. I think it's a very good thing.
Well, maybe not in taxes, but in price.
Insurance. I keep saying taxes, insurance.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's saving all the taxpayers' money. So.
That's right. That's right. We would only expect that. They're the best. These guys are very committed, dedicated to this community and the wider community. And I don't want to create a tension here. We want to solve this problem. You're right, we should have solved the problem 5 years ago. I don't know that it would have saved us $20,000, but we're here now. We've got to do it. Let's figure out how to get through this and then make it happen this year, next month. Thanks, Ed.
All right.
David, let's talk insurance.
Saving money.
The water system is up to speed here. The village is fully protected.
Yeah.
Right. Our insurance should go down, right?
And it is. I won't try to take up too much of your time. I did review with Norm and David independently. I guess they're your insurance committee. Most of this information before.
Yeah, we already. I don't think there's much changes.
I'm going to take a look at the last page. That gives you an idea of what our premium bid is for you this time around. And I'll explain those categories for you a little bit there. We itemized for you the cost for each of the line insurance that the village has. At the top you see there the property and some of the equipment coverage, the general liability, et cetera, right down the page. The only thing we don't have that's firm is near the bottom, which is the group accident. We do have an accident and life insurance policy for the firemen. And I'm waiting for Ed Myers to actually return an application to us, and when he does, we can get the exact number for you then. It should be very close to what is there, by the ESTV is estimated there. That gives you an idea of the range of the premiums for the coverage that we have. I do recognize, as Norm and David advised me, you're going to look at a competitive proposal this year from the Vermont League of Cities and Towns. I think it's appropriate for the village. I'm going to make a few comments to you regarding our program, perhaps, and how it compares with theirs for your information. And hopefully this information will enable you to make a wise decision on the two proposals. If you flip to the second page, that first box is the property coverage that we have for the village. We have a blanket limit on all the buildings and the contents, which is made up with this statement of values we have here. We We have them all up, the building and the contents, come up with that one limit, so you can use that one limit for any property claimed to the building and the contents. We try to update this every once in a while to reflect the replacement value of the properties. We do have some business interruption and extra expense if the building has to move somewhere else after a claim. Increased cost of construction coverage, which takes care of building code upgrades and that sort of thing after a loss. We do have the fence, which is noted here on your statement of values, the nice wrought iron one that's on the bridge that was completed a few years ago. We have a property extension, which includes a bunch of other coverages, some surface water coverage, pollution cleanup, backup of sewers and drains. I'll leave you all a copy of that as well. The boiler machinery's equipment breakdown coverage for the village for the heating and air conditioning and other power equipment. Page 3, we make a list there for you of the municipal equipment and some of the fire equipment. I was able, at Norm's suggestion, to get an updated list from Mary Rogers, which we did get, and I gave you that, Norm, as well as David. I hope it's accurate.
And that's in this document?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's attached to it later on, in fact, on page 11 and 12, it's got that. That should be an updated list now of the items the village does have. And we include all those with a $500 deductible and some miscellaneous tools. On the fire trucks, we do offer replacement cost coverage on them. The limit on that now is $416. That's for the value of the fire trucks. It's a good thing to review that with Ed to make sure that that's right for the 2 fire vehicles that you have. $1,000 deductible for the fire trucks. Down below, we have some dishonesty insurance, which thank you, we haven't needed here in the village for the village staff. Blanket $100,000 on all the village employees. We have a separate bond, which we'll see later on the treasurer. We do have some money coverage, which is going into part of the program, inside and outside of the village offices. Page 4 is the general liability coverage of $1 million limit. We have an umbrella that gives you another $1 million over this. We base that on the streets and road mileage, water company payroll, and a municipal worksheet that we come up with, which has the results in $156,000, which is what the rating basis is. We cover the reservoir, of course, the village has. We also include the fire department professional liability for you in this, and what's known as Good Samaritan coverage. So if the guys are helping on an emergency that's not a village emergency, we can protect the firemen for that. Number 5 is we have an umbrella, gives you another $1 million in excess over autos, the vehicles, the general liability, employer's liability, which covers the workers' comp, and also the public officials liability, which protects all you folks and the boards and commissions in the village. Page 6 is the vehicles. The next page has got the schedule. You have $1 million limit here, the umbrella's excess over that. We include non-owned auto for employees using their vehicles on village time. If there's an accident on village time, we'll protect the village for that. Small amount of rental reimbursement and coverage on hired autos, rented autos if you need that. We also include $5,000 of coverage for the firemen on their way to a fire. If they have an accident with their car, we can help them up to that, which takes care of a deductible or we pay that collision coverage on their vehicle. The next page 7 is the village fleet. We have $500 deductible collision comprehensive. The 2 fire trucks you'll see there, the 03 Freightliner and the 2012 International. We saw earlier the coverage we have on them, which is on the equipment schedule. The grader is on here because it is used on the public roads. For liability coverage, we have the grader on the equipment schedule as well on page 11. 8 workers' comp has gone reasonably well for the village. The experience mod gives a 4% discount now. You have a 0.96 factor, which is good. You'll see the classes we have there. Fire patrol, of course, is the firemen. We cover them for workers' comp. Sewer cleaning is a little bit of a misnomer. That includes plowing in the wintertime. The rate is less for that than summer maintenance on the roads, which is the street and highway construction. And the water department, of course, is covered on this, as well as miscellaneous municipal employees.
And the workman's comp is by far the biggest piece of the,
Well, it is. If you look at.
it's almost half of it.
Right,
Right, it's half the coverage.
right.
Public officials, that's important to all you folks, covers you for your decision-making, wrongful acts. May limit the 2,500 deductible. Included also is employment practices liability in this for wrongful termination of employees and sexual harassment in the workplace, that sort of thing, discrimination in hiring. And finally, on page 10, we do have, which we're waiting for Ed's application, some coverage for the firemen, $100,000 of life insurance for them, and some dismemberment coverage, as well as a small amount of medical expense and disability. If the firemen are injured on the job, they are also covered by workers' comp. This is in addition to that.
Is there an aggregate on that, or is that?
You see, it's 260 weeks bill for the disability, so we go that
Okay.
long if they're medically necessary and out of work.
Gotcha.
And the hospital benefit too. It's excess over medical insurance or workers' comp. Mentioned the treasurer's bond earlier. Page 11 is the equipment coverage, which hopefully is accurate, but any of you or Norm can weigh in on this. And add as effect anything you want. The coverage on this is the actual value of these items, which was on Mary's list, but hopefully is accurate. It's not replacement value. Holds 114,000. So I went through that quick, but is that generally understandable? I'd answer a question or two. But I'll leave with you also.
David,
Yeah, go ahead, Nancy.
can you give us some sense of how this compares with what we're currently paying?
It's slightly less than the amount that you paid last year. Maybe 1,000 or so.
That's because, this includes the water department, the
That's correct.
33,000.
Oh, okay, because I was thinking we didn't budget.
We paid 22, right. Well, last year was 22,000 for us.
Right,
Right,
okay.
and what Will's
Okay.
Insurance has done is sent separate billings.
Yeah, we do
Okay.
also, which is
All right.
property water insurance, and right, that's a good question. This property extension is part of the coverage, which I briefly mentioned to you earlier. I thought I would just very briefly give you some thoughts on the league proposal versus ours. The league is a fine organization, does a very good job for municipalities, providing grant assistance and other advice for the town. What they have is a self-insurance package. It's a little bit different than what we offer. Our program is insured by insurance companies who do have the backing of the State of Vermont Guarantee Fund. The self-insurance product is in fact a self-insurance product that the league has. I think it's been pretty successful financially. However, as I mentioned in my number one bullet point here for you, it's assessable, which means if there was a disaster or a very large claim, the members can be assessed in the VLCT pool to make up claims for other members. You should ask the representative about this if it's ever happened. I think the answer may be no, but the point here is that for the members in the pool who are in on this, and it's a self-insurance plan, and if there is a claim crisis or a deficit in the pool or some other financial issue, the members are obligated to perhaps pay more to make up for that.
Pay more on their deductible? Is that how that
Yes,
happens?
and or more than the premiums that they
More
charge.
than the
Judge
premium.
Evans,
Premiums.
yeah.
Yeah, so
You
it's
could
an
have a certain-
accessible self-insurance pool. It's something you should ask them about,
Okay.
and what your liability would be for that.
What about bullet 2? Do you know if that's ever happened? I mean, I would think go to worst
I
case
believe
and
it
say
is not, Bill.
Irene and,
It is not,
okay.
which is good news. But if there was a default by the league's package, it is not backed up by the state guarantee fund, whereas our insurance companies are that. So if one of my insurance companies defaults, you do have a backup for claims. Again, I mentioned 3 sort of relates to 1. It is, the rates on are based on the performance of all the members and not just your own experience. We hope that it's good, but if some of the towns have got a rough experience, that eventually could affect your rates as well as a member of the pool. Sovereign immunity, this is probably a very minute point. That means that towns do have some protection, liability protection, based on the fact that they are a town. They potentially could use that as a defense to deny a claim. Sometimes it's a PR problem for the town. The way we look at it is if the village is negligent, we're going to pay a liability claim for you. The sovereign immunity defense is not used. You can ask the reps if this has ever happened, which would mean that if the village is negligent and you guys would expect a claim to be paid, the league might say, well, you're immune from this, sovereign immunity, you're not going to pay the claim. Could be good, could be bad, but potentially it could be an issue that the village would have to deal with, and you should ask them about if that ever does happen. That's in the policy. Minor point, they have a deductible on legal liability claims, which is $500. On the road salt, maybe Norm's checked on this. In the old days, there used to be a sublimit on what they would pay for road salt claims, which means if the village is thought to be negligent for not salting appropriately, and there's an accident resulting from that, that there was a limit on what they would pay for a claim for road salt. We do not have that restriction in our plan. Again, you should ask them about all these. We do include, number 7, a non-monetary defense for employment practices, which means if someone is complaining about employment at the village and you begin to go through the process with the Attorney General, we're going to help you up to $50,000 before there's a lawsuit filed. So it's a pre-damages coverage, which we have. You can ask them about pollution liability. We have a full limit of $1.2 million on that, as well as your umbrella over that, which is number 8. 9, I think is important. Uninsured motorist means that if someone has no insurance or not enough insurance and they're involved in an accident with one of the village vehicles, your coverage steps up and pays the damages to your employees and to your for bodily injury. We have the full limit for that plus the umbrella. They may limit that, at least they did in the old days, to $250,000. And we hope that never happens, but we do have a broader limit for uninsured motorists, which could be important for one of your employees if they have that occur. Number 10, I don't know if this is still true or not, but I'm not sure they write workers' comp for the firemen, the same policy that everybody else is on, which means you'd have a separate work comp policy for the firemen. And it's going to be in the assigned risk pool. The rates would be a little bit higher, maybe significantly higher. You'll see what it is than what we have. And more importantly, the claims and administration of that would, in my judgment, not be as good. Assigned risk is kind of a crapshoot. You could get assigned to any number of carriers in the state. They could be pretty responsive, they could be not responsive, but it could be, unfortunately, a second-class product for the firemen. Maybe for workers' comp. We have also loss prevention services available. You have to ask for them. The league might actually require you to engage in some loss prevention, and that may or may not be a benefit, except for the staff, but ours is certainly available to you on a voluntary basis. And we hope the local services will. There's that, and hopefully you can use this as a tool to evaluate the 2 proposals.
Very helpful, yeah.
Do you have a breakdown, David, on what the municipality versus the water department would be of that 33?
I'm able to do that for you, not tonight, but I can get that pretty quickly to you folks. Yeah, David. I can tell you what portion of that is the water department.
So about a third probably is.
Sounds about right. I can get the exact number.
Okay.
I'll-
Because that
What's our
does.
budget for?
Yeah.
22.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll deliver that to you and Lori, so you know what that
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
That'd be great. I was just gonna say, David, I could probably pull out
Right.
last year's.
Well, last year we paid 22,209.
Or
For the
509.
For the village.
But that was
509,
the
509?
water department, probably, but I'll get that number to you.
It's just that one comes out directly out of taxes, the others
Right.
go into water bills, so
Right,
people
water, right.
feel it in a different way.
David, if you wanna send that as a document, I can then forward
Yeah,
it
I'll
on.
get that to
That would
Lori.
be-
Any questions,
Or
folks?
email.
Any other busy agenda? Hope
No, that's good. David,
good.
thanks for bringing that up. I guess we have some discussions to have about that and probably kick some of these questions back to VLCT and, they may have some
And our
bullet
renewal
points to-
date
Yeah,
is,
the bullet points, was it?
our renewal date is
It's July 1st.
July 1st.
So you need to know tomorrow.
Sometime this month, how about that?
Before our
Covered
next
until
meeting.
July 1st, though. 3 weeks, no problem. Appreciate your time, folks.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
We'll be in touch.
I should have a copy of both of these, but you should too. Be able to have a copy of
Good
everything.
luck with drainage and all the other issues with information.
Thank you.
Can you get hers? Okay, I'll scan it.
Okay,
What's the date for that Wednesday at the fire?
it's the,
Today's date, did you say?
18th,
18th?
Oh,
week from tomorrow.
I can take minutes.
No, I need a ladder.
I know, it's so dark. Hold our phones over okay.
Norm, highway.
All right, well, I'd like to pass this picture around. This came to my office today.
Can't see it, it's too dark.
The picture's kind of dark.
Maybe somebody put some light bulbs in here.
The picture was from Ed Corey, and he's got a concern about the stop sign coming from Overly Road. What it is in the requirements with the ADA, with the accident that happened, and unfortunately untimely death of the couple individuals, the 3 boys. They redid that street for us and put all new signs, they repainted it, they did a lot of things just because of the fact of that accident. And the stop sign set at 6 feet, which it should be, but there's some, now the trees are kind of in the way. I agree with them, it's a little hard to see. We disagree on that there's a stop sign ahead, sign there's a stop sign on the ground before it to get up to the corner. But I do think a few branches need to be trimmed, and maybe I can cheat that sign down a couple notches, but he wanted me to show you.
This is coming from 7A, coming into the village?
That's right, and, you know, we are gonna get the reflective strips on that post. Again, we ordered them, so that, you know, that whole post will, you know, be red reflective. It makes it a lot more visible to see. So he asked me to bring them up, so I did, so. I do somewhat agree with him, so we're gonna do a little trimming, not as much maybe as we'd like, and cut the whole tree down, but
That's on private property, the tree, right?
yes, but if it is blocking a sign for us, we have the authority to trim it. I mean, we're not gonna go too far.
Did you say who brought this to you?
Ed Corey.
Oh, okay,
yeah. I was gonna say, I appreciate his
yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're pretty far back from the stop sign. I mean, like, I looked through my MUTCD book just a little bit. I'm sure there's a distance that you need to be able to see a stop sign from. I would almost bet the money that the state paid in that road, that stop sign meets it. It's, I think Ed wants people to be able to see that much further back, but that's why that stop sign ahead sign is there. So you go by, you see that, you see stop sign on the floor, you know. But hopefully we'll come to a good resolution.
So remove a few branches, lower it maybe a little notch too, and
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna try to, I'm gonna,
Great.
so, and keep it all still in compliance. Okay, one thing is to know, I mean, we've asked for a mirror, it was quite a discussion, we have a mirror. It is in place, you know, so we've done a few things, you know what I mean? At what point do we, you know, where do we stop, you know, so, you know, but we'll go just a little bit further.
okay.
And anybody that lives on Mechanic Street or travels Mechanic Street today will be very happy. We paved the open ditches on it today.
Thank goodness.
We had a little problem with one of the teachers at school. We had to discipline. Decided that they were more important than anybody else. So that kind of came together real fast. We have that policy that we wrote. It went to our attorney, came to Matthew came to, did you forward that to everybody, or did I forward that to everybody? I forget. I know you got it. To talk about
Regarding
and
the
adopt,
pavement.
and adopt tonight. So that will be our town policy for
Right.
not only the other municipality in the town, but any other private contractor that digs in our road. And we'll be able to hand it to them and we should attach that to Dan Tao when people are getting permits to do anything. And our lawyer thought it was a pretty well-written document.
It was.
So who's going to make sure Dan gets that?
Well, once
We have to adopt it. Did you all see it?
adopt it,
I don't think I saw it.
I didn't either.
Now, was I supposed to send them your original document or Rob's response to?
no, Rob's response, that's the one that I
Well, I can do
forwarded to you and said, yes, this would be accepted on
can
Tuesday
do
night, which is suggesting that we adopt this document.
Oh, maybe we still can.
They were like,
You do
Have
it,
a busy meeting Wednesday.
I believe so, we did.
Right.
Well, we could deal with some of this on Wednesday, couldn't we? You know?
Yeah, I
Because this is
mean,
gonna go on forever if we don't.
well, gives us time to prepare.
Here's an edited version of our consideration review. Substance abuse requirements seem very sensible. Trustees should approve this with any amendments that you or they think appropriate. I would be glad to discuss these. Yeah, I don't see a little forward thing by that, so that might mean that I didn't do that. Can I forward, is this something, we could look at the actual document right now, or we could,
Well, we're hoping to have that in place so paving be done. You can certainly forward it. You know, this month we have one meeting that's scheduled, and we're going to have another one like we did last year, which was when we started, to close out this fiscal year. So we really need to have another meeting before the 1st of July,
Right.
so that can wrap it up. So I don't know if this is your last meeting.
Well,
but-
maybe not.
But that's up to you. But, right, I mean, you know, because, you
Well,
know,
that's what we did last year.
you know, so, and we kind of got on that track to help with some budgetary things. So there's some time. I gave it to the board member of the water board that Steve instructed me to do. Looked at it, didn't seem to have any problems with it, and we went ahead and paid today.
oh, great,
So that's done.
okay.
And we did 2 holes. Now, the water department has 2 more digs that they did. One, they kind of patched last year, was hoping that it would be real good, but it's not. We're gonna almost insist that they do it, but that's only a 3x3 hole. And then there's another one up on West Street. They're both on West Street, as a matter of fact. So, and they're not as high traffic. It's not such a big deal there. What this document basically talks about is, and I researched it again with the state and everybody, it's limits on insurance, it's some equipment, it's some depth, some legalese that we're not responsible for, you know, depth, and, you know, we need to see, you know, if another entity, we'll just use Pangea's restaurant, right? They decide they want to rip up the street in front of it, they're gonna get it paid, you hire somebody, they're gonna have to show me the specs, and I'm gonna prove that this is good enough for us. That's basically what it says.
Yep.
So there's that. Third thing we have is we started cutting roadsides. As you can see, we got a little different piece of equipment that's certainly, we've again took another baby step up. Makes a humongous savings of our time again. So everybody more than welcome to come up to the garage and see it. It's an overgrown weed eater, but we'll be able to do over the guardrail. We're in the process of talking with Ron Pembroke about when the right time it is to cut bamboo, so you don't spread it, make it any worse. And he's also in the process, there will be something released in the paper, I believe on Thursday, trying to get the permit for the Bennington area, which is Bennington, North Bennington, and Old Bennington, so we can spray and kill some of that stuff. So we're working on that.
Japanese knotweed, which
Doing
isn't,
anything
which
with
isn't a
garlic
bamboo.
mustard?
Yeah,
That's,
that one's already lost, that battle's lost.
So, you'll see that, we've got a couple of requests to put some ditches, or clean out some ditches by people's houses, you know, and I'm going around and looking at that one at a time, we've got a few of those. We're kinda in the tent season, so that's getting filled up, the park and the school and park and call
Yes, I
house.
would like to say that the highway department helped the school this past weekend, and we certainly appreciate their efforts. Thank you.
They always do, but that tent was one of the greatest ideas you ever, although you probably wish.
Sometimes I do. You know, I talked to Matt earlier this week, we're gonna get into our painting. We were actually gonna plan on getting ready today to paint at midnight tonight, but when the paving thing came, I just couldn't pass that up, because that road was bad, it needed to be done. And speaking of paving, we patched a ton of potholes on College Road with the help of the Shasberry Highway Department. They came down and helped us for a day. Again, we continue that relationship of working with each other. So.
Right.
And we're working on getting that paid, and we need to talk an executive session about that. So don't let me forget about that. But there's a few things we're gonna need. You know, we really need a third person, and we just don't have it. We tried. I've talked to a retired gentleman that's willing to come in on an extremely limited basis, and you know, when we work in this fountain, setting the curb, there's a lot of things we just have to have another construction-orientated individual. I mean, I'm tapping into community service as much as I can, but you gotta understand those, you know, we need somebody that's been there, done that. And it could be as senseless of a job as snapping a line on the street, or moving a stencil, but, you know, when we start painting that intersection, that's gonna be a big deal, you know, and it's killing ourselves, so.
I think on the very, very limited time that you were looking for this work, I think the person you suggested is really a great idea. How do we care, you know, retired, who's been in the construction business and.
Right, he's the guy that built the bridge.
Right,
So, I mean, there's the quality of work that we're expecting, you know what I mean? So,
and he's willing to work for low money,
yeah, minimum.
minimum wage, basically.
Well, not minimum.
Not
wage,
quite,
so-
but,
Minimum
A
money.
couple of years.
It would be the cheapest employee that you have
yeah,
besides yourselves.
thank you.
Okay, and the last thing is, and it came over on the, earlier, is that fully engine bill that,
Yeah,
it's on that note that I sent you, right there.
oh, yeah.
So, and again, that's kind of a legal matter, so I don't know if we want to go into executive session for that one. But
Yeah. I think that's
for
probably
4 months, I
what
couldn't get a phone call back, and now my phone rings every day.
Yeah. Let's handle that in executive, as a potential legal matter. Wow, you've been busy. Head looks great in the park.
Well, we're starting to get busy. I know that, you know, we get the ballpark mowing, and we're mowing probably every 10 days. It's not as chipper as it once was, but we're trying to conserve a little money and fuel and everything else,
All looks fine.
you know, and so we're doing the best we can. And we have some expenses, you know. Maybe we have a retired painter that would give me a big ladder so I can change some light bulbs in here. I'm not sure if we know anybody, but we don't have
You
a
don't
ladder.
have a ladder? Is that the
Not to
issue?
get up here, not to get up there, no way.
Get him on Zach's shoulders, maybe you
We
can
have a
probably reach.
couple.
You know,
It's time, yeah, definitely.
Get
for now.
candles and.
We're saving money, not burning electricity, that's for sure.
you know.
What's the schedule on the fountain?
Well, it came today, you know, it's, I mean, it's kind of this is the time of year where I mean, I ended up walking out the door and I turned around and I was like, I didn't do bills for the end of the month, I better get it before Lori tells me. We're just out all the time, I mean, with the two of us, you know, people.
No,
laugh
I'm
and
not
they see you
complaining,
sitting
Norm, I'm
outside.
just trying to,
No, what I'm saying is it came today
uh-huh,
and I didn't have time to look at it.
It's a pool.
My truck.
the fountain itself.
And the sad part is my computer, David has to print stuff out for me, Gloria has to print stuff out for me. I get more on this phone than I do in that antique relic there. You know, it goes, and I'm like, you know, so we really need to update next July, and, you know, we need to buy a computer. But,
What happened was the guy who was involved with this got involved with the tornado down in Greenbush, and part of his building was.
he was affected by this.
So there was a 2-week delay. That's why Norm had gotten out there, they'd gotten out there, dug the holes, gotten ready for it, and then,
We're hoping, and again, this is a big project, there's many players in this. I've asked Lori to start a file for the, you know, for the slips that come in. You know, we've got the water department on board, again, Smith Architecture has been a humongous asset in this project, because without him, you know, it wouldn't go. And he does have some connections, so we're getting some things done, you know, and we're getting some really good prices, which we very well may be getting with the firehouse too, you know. So, right now we're waiting for the guy to set the base and the pool that the fountain will be in. So probably a group of people would like to have it done for the appreciation day that they have every year at Power. I think that's a very ambitious goal, as I see it now. But we're gonna try.
And
That
that's
would be
when?
Labor Day weekend.
Oh, okay.
I think it's the one before, I think it's I think it's the 21st or something.
No, they talked about putting it to Labor Day weekend
did
and do
they?
everything at once.
Gotcha.
okay.
Forward to it.
So, there's, if we're gonna have a meeting at the end of the month, we wanna make sure we got enough of those bills in to cover the $10,000. We got like $3,800 left.
On the village's
From
contribution.
the village's
towards-
contribution that we have to spend by the end of June. And you've probably got some bills adding up close to that already?
Well, we can pay forward something.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, we can pay for the fountain, that's,
Yeah.
I would suggest that David, and I've asked this a couple times, but somebody needs to call a fountain committee meeting, just to get everybody back geared for just like that.
right.
Because we can pre-buy a few things, or, you know, that would change me to shift gears a little bit. Unfortunately, next week's probably out. Well, a couple days, we've got that Hardigan truck coming back. We're gonna suck some DIs. Again, I found out
Yeah, but
both
just,
days,
you know, but just paying Glenn Campbell, that's a big chunk of money.
yeah, absolutely, yeah, right. So there you go. So that would probably take most of
Right.
that.
Okay. Yeah, you guys should figure that out. Just make sure you don't lose that money. Okay, development review, Destructing Fire Department, we've already dealt with that. Water Board, don't know anything. I would argue that we keep the old business. I know, Janice, you wanted to talk, and I think briefly we should address the, well, let's, actually, first we need to, Gail's got some things to talk about, so let's do that now. I guess it's old business, right?
Purchasing
Yeah.
policy.
Yeah, I finally got to talk to Steve Love, and we were talking about the audit, so that is, we're working on that and getting things started, and Mary and I have been talking, and the purchasing policy, I asked Steve Love to look at it. His comment was that he felt the limits were too high, that, you know, that you have, and that he also suggested that you look at doing purchase orders, which would have to be discussed, and, you know, I'm assuming that at this point, with Mary as the new treasurer, that, you know, that you all can work together to develop a policy, but he did feel that the limits, that there weren't, you know, I had expressed my concerns about the limits on when you get trustee authorization and, you know, and so, and he agreed that, you know, that $3,000 is, you know, it's just too high. We're a small village.
Did he have a alternative suggestion, Gail?
Well, we talked about, you know, having, that you should really implement a purchase order system, which we've never done. But just so that there's some authorization prior to when these bills go on the warrant. You know, there's really no, nobody, the bills are submitted, but nobody's really authorizing them until you pay them. And I don't know is that if you're really looking at the bills, you know, as in the way that they should be examined, I guess. And so, you know, he was, you know, we talked about maybe $1,000. You know, obviously if there's emergencies, but, you know, we have email now, you know, things that could be authorized, at least so that there's something on paper that these, you know, that they're not just presented at the meeting and then it's just a, you know, a blanket authorization without anybody really looking at them.
I think in practice, that's the way it is, anyway. I think that certainly I'm notified, and I think David is too. Maybe it needs to go to a third board member, if it's an email issue, if it's you know, if it's like, Norm's saying, he's got this expense, gotta do it, then I would be willing to go as far as suggesting that he put his feelers out by email to people and get feedback.
But maybe even if you had the purchase orders, you know, if you know, you write out the purchase orders and then they're signed at the meeting along with, you know, okay, the warrant, so that you have that.
Just as a paper trail on the.
You have the paper trail, you have
All the fire department has done purchase orders for a really long time.
Yeah.
That's kind of the procedure they've always used.
And I mean, I think it's a really good practice, and also the limits, you know, really need to be lowered, I think.
Well, I appreciate that. That's something we can't really act on, I don't think, tonight, but we'll.
I mean, I'm used to working with the purchase order system, that's how everything was done. And I don't care if it was $50, you didn't get it.
Yeah.
You had to have a purchase order and get somebody to sign it.
Right, and that's,
It's no big deal, I mean, they're just,
right, it's just, you know.
so that whoever is
Paper
making
trail
out the
that no one
checks
can
has a
say-
piece of paper that says somebody had signed for this.
And in a way, I suppose that really does cover Norm or Lori or whoever else is,
Right.
you know, so there's not scrutiny of what decisions they made. Someone else followed up on them. Well, let's take that up later, in interest of time. There was something else. Oh, about the reserve fund for the audit being used to some degree to help.
With the fixed asset issue.
Right.
I mean,
How much
Steve-
money are you talking, Gail?
Well, Steve, you know, he gave an estimate, obviously, he thought it would be around $10,000, maybe more.
Which we have in our old reserve fund without adding this year's.
Right, and we're adding this year, but the fixed asset project is gonna be, really long process, and, you know, other towns have like bid out to an accounting
yeah.
firm to complete it, and Mary and I are willing to work on this, although we'd like some compensation.
I think that makes sense. I mean, we know it was gonna cost, you know, it was gonna take a lot of time. We know it was gonna. So what you're saying is that that money's there.
Well, I'm saying, once we put the $5,000
Yeah.
in, you know,
Right.
that I think we'll have enough to cover the audit plus the fixed asset process. I'm still looking at fixed asset, you know, I'm still looking at software. Stephanie was working on spreadsheets today, but it's a complicated, it's, you know, backing into
I know.
everything.
Now, the fixed assets, the first time you do it is nasty.
You know,
Okay, do you want, I mean, I think
Well, how much,
that's not even requiring an authorization, because it's money that's.
no, I mean, we just wanted to come up, just.
Right.
but do
No,
you
your
have
time.
any kind of estimate of how much money we're talking, Gail?
I mean, you know, Mary's been going through all the annual reports, we've been, you know, obviously this, insurance is good, we just have to back into a lot of things.
Right.
One thing, we have to look at the fire department and all the equipment that's been bought with the grant, because
Yeah.
that's really part of,
Right,
it's
it's
the
part of
fire
it.
department, but it's really village assets.
Right, it's a village
And
Other
asset.
things that have been done with the grant, such as this building.
Right, so, you know, those are the kinds, anything that, you know, is part of the, we've got to look at infrastructure in terms of sidewalks and, you know,
Oh, yeah.
I've got to pull all the records that Norm was so kind enough to take over. I probably have to go back and pull them out and look at them, but we'll get it done. I don't have any doubt. Mary and I will work together.
Good.
Do we, are we at a point where we can think about when the audit would be done?
I mean,
I don't know,
assuming-
Gail, I'm sorry. I didn't quite hear that.
I have to talk with Steve to see what his schedule is. I know they do the town right at the end, you know, right after the fiscal year. It all depends really on how long this takes us.
Yeah,
Right, to
that's
get
what I'm,
everything prepared.
So, I mean, you know, we're, you know, determined to put our best effort into this to get it done as quickly as possible. You know, we'll have to get all the department heads like Ed and Norm and.
what would be good, is it reasonable to think that we'd have it for the annual meeting?
I'm hoping,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would hope.
I would hope.
9 months,
I mean, because I think it would be,
would be a good thing.
to publish in the annual report.
We don't have to have a single audit, which is a big help.
Right.
But because we haven't had an audit they have to audit basically the beginning balances and the ending balances, so.
What's that span, that time span?
Well, they basically have to look at last fiscal year as well, to verify the ending balances as of 6/30/2013,
Okay.
so that going forward, when we're auditing 6/30/14, you know,
Okay. Well, Gail, I think we will see more of you before the year's out, but I do want to thank you for your long service to the village. And it's not an easy job, I know. Well, I don't even know. Can't even imagine. But I'm excited that someone else has been foolish enough to step up. And I look forward to working with you, Mary, as well.
You know, I just want to comment on paying for the time. And it certainly makes sense to me to use the reserve fund, the audit reserve fund. And it looks
Right.
like we'll have some in there beyond the cost of the audit itself. If it's going to be more than that, I think the sooner we know,
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
the better
I mean, I
prepared we
have
might
to
be.
get.
might need to get a purchase
I don't know
order.
if Steve will have a firm number until, you know,
Well-
he really takes a look at the books. I mean, we can't lock him into that, it's not even a,
Sure.
I mean, last time I sent this out to bid, I didn't get one response, and so I was a little worried when I hadn't heard from Steve, but he agreed that, you know, he was gonna do it. So, I mean, there's just not that many auditing firms out there anymore that are doing small little municipal villages such as
And
ourselves.
I think once we get a handle on the expenses for this fiscal year, get the rest of this in, get through that next meeting, Gail will have time, and we'll sit down, I can share with her what I've got so far, just to see if that's a good starting point. But personally, I'd prefer to see the actual invoices that were paid for all of these things, to know that we've got, that we're capturing everything in its totality.
Well, we thought we would just come here
Yeah.
and just
And start
camp out for a
going
little
through.
while and go through everything.
Yeah.
But at least I think we can narrow down to what we're looking for.
Well, I mean, when school ends, they'll be nice enough to loan us some tables. And the art is not having the inside gallery this year, is that correct? So upstairs, there's a lot of wide open space upstairs.
That'd be nice.
That you could, you know, maybe you could make yourself some sort of, I'm sure you're gonna need multiple tables, but we could get them up there for you.
Yeah,
And you could lay things out
Yeah.
and,
because right now, all of the stuff that you need, Allison and I
Yes, you
put it
a lot
in
of
little cubbies. And, I mean, we were filthy, but you know that little cubby up there? We put it all in that little cubby, you can't even stand up in it. So
I
I'm
think
not
that's
going
where
back
all
in
my
there.
records are.
What?
everything is out there, that's why it would
It's
be.
all up there,
Yeah.
and it's
Is
very
Tom-
well
Is Tom
organized.
out of there? Tom Fells, he was doing some work sorting art and stuff up there.
There's some, yeah, no,
Yeah,
yes, no, he's not out up there.
Okay.
There's,
We can put the fire.
but,
in
but
there.
it's not
Not
full.
really in the way?
No.
Alright.
We have somebody clean.
Well, the room's clean.
Oh, the room.
You're not gonna go in the cubby hole.
No, I already did
I
that.
would rather you did.
She
Make my
actually
guy
is
life
going
a lot
in
easier,
the-
but-
You are going in the cubby hole because you have
Well-
to get all the stuff out.
Well, some of it.
Well, yeah, some of the
Norm's
other
volunteering
stuff
to do
for
it.
us.
Right.
Norm, did you go in that cubby for us?
Okay, so are we,
Yes, if I have to.
We can manage.
I know that Janice had some old business that she wanted to speak about with respect to the ordinances, which I would like to not touch too much on, other than actually first to say that I have started to look at the construction portion of that, and I'm actually finding it to be almost irrelevant in many ways. That section, 21, doesn't really relate to much of what I thought it was gonna relate to. And that there are other parts of section 8 maybe, or something that deals more with specifics regarding, the construction ordinances deal with like municipal right-of-way stuff and, you know, road construction and grades and
not buildings.
and ditches, and not so much the buildings, which I believe we'll find more so in I think it was 8, or, I mean, I gotta go back and look at that, but.
No, I think I did 8.
Well, or 7 or 9
7
or
or something,
something, yeah.
yeah. Well,
Which, you know, go ahead.
What I'd like to do is, actually, I was surprised we agreed that we'd come to this meeting with this done, so I would like to set a realistic time to be able to sit down and just go through it. And it feels like it would probably need to be a special meeting to do that. And I realize we're in the summer, and, you know, so I want to just get a sense of when would be realistic, when people feel we'd be able to do that, or.
Late fall, probably. Not really, I mean, realistically,
Yeah,
Yeah.
October. I mean,
no, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean,
I know that you're heading into a major construction phase with the,
Yeah, and quite honestly, if I had a spare minute, I want to put any time I have into the charter, just so we can get
Yeah,
that one
yeah,
done
that
by the
needs to
annual
be-
meeting.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Well, I've got my section done, I'm not bragging, but, and I think it was easy, I think it was easy, and I know Mark has too. So what I was going to say is I may have time to to look at some of the other sections, but I agree with Bill, with the charter, we've set it,
Right.
which is the annual meeting, so, and even before that, so,
Yeah, and I think we have to be done with the charter by around October if we're even going to think about
Yeah.
moving forward with
Exactly.
it.
yeah, so I'll be writing on that first, I guess, but, okay.
I really appreciate you're sticking monthly to these issues. I really do.
Well, when I
'cause-
read the minutes from last meeting, I had to scurry.
And I had a note that would pop up every day in my calendar telling me to do them.
That's impressive.
And then, of course, I would hit, tell me tomorrow, because it's not happening today.
Okay.
But Anything else?
I just would like to know, just to clarify, so the meeting will be continued until the 18th for
That
the
is-
purpose of just meeting with the fire?
I'm gonna go talk to Tim, and then we're gonna talk to the meeting and get back together to talk about with the chief or.
Okay, so then will you continue that meeting? I think I heard that you'd like a second full meeting to pay final bills for the fiscal year, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
And when would you like to
Do
do
you want to set that date?
Yeah, that'd be great if we could do that.
And do we need a motion to continue the meeting?
We'll have to do it at the next meeting. We'll make a motion to continue this
Right.
meeting to next Wednesday.
So how close to the end of the month does it need to be to know what the bills are gonna be?
You know, I mean, I got 9 in the mail today, but I had, you have to draw the line.
Right.
So, they'll come, they'll keep coming all month.
No, but if we did it, say, the 24th, Tuesday, the 24th,
That's what I was thinking too.
is that,
That's fine.
late
That
enough?
sounds good.
Same time, 7 o'clock?
Now, is that a separate special meeting, or is that a continuance of this meeting?
We're thinking it's a continuance, though it's not, doesn't need to be warned specifically as a special meeting.
Okay,
so we can,
so
If you did it on
that's
the
Tuesday the
26th.
24th?
What are you saying?
Yeah.
27?
say it again?
If you did it on the 26th, you know, because the mountains of countdown that we have, we've been trying to take Fridays off. You know, I'm your biggest user, you know, so if you did it on the 26th, you probably, I could come to work that Monday and not spend any money, and we'd be exactly where we're supposed to be. You know, but that's up to you. But going 5 days, I could plan for it, but that's hard, that's, you know, especially with this fountain thing coming and everything else.
Why don't we wait till the Monday, the 30th? Boom, done.
Well, Laura needs some time to do the bills.
Well, that's
You know,
true.
So as I get them, I will code them and keep feeding them to her.
I mean,
That's only my opinion, but, you know,
I could do Thursday,
Thursday'd be fine with me.
I think I could do Thursday.
and we'd have to check it.
So it's Thursday.
Thursday, the 26th at 7 o'clock here? Is that right?
Wednesday, the 18th, and Thursday, the 26th.
Yes.
Okay.
Matt, I have one more thing I just
Okay.
wanted to mention. We're having a monitoring site visit on probably the 17th at 10 o'clock for looking at the grant documentation. So they're going to, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's 3 grants. It's what was the one, David? The better.
The road, back roads?
Road to Park Street.
Yeah.
It's gonna do
The culverts, the
huge-
better back roads.
the intersection, and then also they're gonna do FEMA for the water department, so. it's gonna
Okay.
be
So-
quite the event, trying to coordinate everything.
Is this kind of an audit that the state's coming in?
They don't call it an audit, they call it a monitoring system. They wanna check and make sure that in case, for example, FEMA came and audited us, that we had
That'd be cool.
everything, you know,
Yep.
everything was.
So that, is there a time set for that, Gail?
Right now, it's the 17th at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock?
I
Is there a
need to
venue?
ask- Well, I need to ask Jim Sullivan if maybe we can do it there because.
Their conference room?
Because of all
He's got-
the invoices that they have.
Can I
on us.
delegate your presence there and not mine? Mr.
I
Vice
already
Chair?
planned on it.
I already asked him,
Yeah.
and then Mary will
Do you
be
feel
there.
badly about that, Matthew?
Well, I would love to watch that circus, but I just can't on a Tuesday morning, so.
They're gonna serve lunch?
Yeah, sure.
I'm hoping it's not gonna, well, you know, no.
Okay.
Right?
I guess we have some executive session stuff regarding contract.
I don't know if everybody got this is probably old business, but the Vermont League of Villages and Towns sent a response to David Newell's questions about, so I don't know if everybody got this or not.
No.
No,
I made
no.
copies for.
And we need to make a decision.
Yeah, but we got a couple more meetings to do.
Yeah, well,
But anyways, this is
Build
their
it in.
response to David's.
To what he presented tonight?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize we already had that.
Yeah, we work fast.
Yes, you do. Need to hand one over there, or does anybody else need one?
And I got another one at home. I just thought we probably want to make the decision at one of these other meetings when we've had time to.
All right, so let's put that in, our next Tuesday agenda. Sorry, next Wednesday's as one of the issues that we need to deal with.
Right.
And then we'll all have read this and we're going to just make a
Because
decision.
what we need
one way or the
is, we need a copy of the quote from the League of Village and Towns and David's breakdown on the village versus the water department.
Little quote, didn't she give that to you? She gave that to all you guys
Yeah.
last meeting.
Last meeting, right. But that, because I'm confused on that because it was like, it didn't seem high enough, so I'm not sure whether it included the water department or not.
They got, well, the stack of papers that I was tasked to get from Wills, it's that high.
Okay,
So what's in there, I don't know. But any questions that we have, if you wanna meet with me tomorrow, we can call
Call
Pam
her.
and
yeah, why don't I look you up tomorrow just to make sure we've all got all the same facts.
Okay,
or draft it in that email off of that one that I sent you. And then we're all on it.
Okay. I'll give you a call in the morning.
good. Now I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session for legal and what are all the issues? We got some
Breeze over this thing quickly.
in executive.
Yeah.
Yeah. For legal primarily
Yeah, well, because we're gonna discuss
Yep.
some pricing
and contract.
contracts.
let's move.
That's a move.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night.
So, on that report I gave you, I had